I'm Steve Lascalzo, and this is The Way. Hello, welcome, and thank you for listening to the May 2025 This is The Way podcast Star Wars News Update. Andor was a triumph of Star Wars storytelling. I've said it before on the podcast, but I think it's the best Star Wars television we've gotten from Disney. Now, I love The Mandalorian, and I love what it meant for me to get me back into watching and talking about Star Wars, but Tony Gilroy's work is right up my alley. In a First Impressions podcast a few weeks ago, I laid out a scenario where I thought there could be more Andor, even if it didn't center around Cassian Andor, who leaves the story in Rogue One. Maybe the Cause gets dubbed Andor, because of Cassian and Marva. But Clea Markey could absolutely be on brand for Disney. Why aren't they picking this up? Powerful, smart, cunning female lead. Isn't that what Disney's always pushing? You've got Vel, Mon, and even Drina too. You've got so many good characters that and so many stories left to tell. They could be behind the scenes of the rebellion, but not just off screen. I don't mean like, look over there, there's Luke and Leia and Han, but you can tell more stories about the rebellion, about what's going on Yavin while Luke is on his way to the Death Star and rescuing Leia. And you can tell stories about the move to Hoth from Yavin and the years in between. I wish they would. I just don't think Disney and Lucasfilm will.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay, it's about that time for me to report Star Wars news released since our last news update podcast. Andor Season 2 wrapped, and Nielsen ratings reported by Deadline have the show hitting 721 minutes viewed between April 21st and the 27th. That's an all-time weekly high for the series. These are not internal numbers, which is why it is more appropriate to mention them here than, say, when Disney touts streaming numbers for a show like The Acolyte, then cancels the show. You can see how any reports about the success of the show from Disney are then immediately undercut by their refusal to renew. It doesn't make sense. It's why Disney cannot be trusted to reveal its own ratings. I'm not sure how much I trust the streaming ones either, but Andor ranked 4th in original shows, according to Nielsen, after the first 3 episodes of Season 2 dropped, and the 12 from Season 1 are still available to watch, so it says 15 episodes are available. Now, it barely made the top 10 overall. That's still not too bad. The shows You and Ransom Canyon took the top spots on both of the lists, overall and originals, and then older shows like Grey's Anatomy, NCIS, and Black Mirror, and even Young Sheldon all beat Andor in the overall rankings, but then again, so did Bluey. People like what they want to watch, and when there's something new and original like Andor and it shows up on that list, I think that's an accomplishment. Andor wraps. Now, Ahsoka Season 2 has started filming, April 28th in London, according to a social media post by star Rosario Dawson. Rory McCann was confirmed to be taking over the role of Baylan Skoll from Ray Stevenson when it was announced at Celebration. Now, McCann made some comments to comicbook.com about it, and none of it, thankfully, is cringe-level stuff. You sometimes have, and frequently, recently, have been getting clueless actors, unfamiliar or out of touch, making comments about the projects, like the actress that is in the live-action remake of Snow White. I'm not even going to mention her name. It's foot and mouth disease didn't happen here. There's no public agenda for McCann that he's just saying, I'm excited. I want to give the fans a great entertainment value. And that's what we want to hear. If I'm honest, though, I'm less excited about Ahsoka since Andor. I don't know if that's a fair comparison, but I just don't think Filoni had a real hand in any of Gilroy's work. And in fact, all of the things that have come out in the media have indicated that Gilroy had almost a free hand Now, I fear if Filoni had had his influence, it just wouldn't have been as good. Maybe Filoni is a problem. And I think there was some great work on Ahsoka. Don't get me wrong, but there was some really bad. His opening up of the Way of the Force really disturbed me.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Now, not everyone liked Andor. Not everyone hated Ahsoka. And there's no news from Star Wars Celebration about the Rey movie. It's not been officially canceled, but you'd think maybe they would have mentioned it at Star Wars Celebration, but that could be either because the stars and management of the film weren't available to promote it, or maybe there was just no news to report. With Andor being so good, it does set a higher bar. Is that fair? I don't know. But it's not like people don't want to see more from Rey. It's just what kind of stories are we going to be getting? Rian Johnson made recent comments that he has gone down his mystery rabbit hole with his Knives Out features, but that he would love to get back into Star Wars. I was going to say apologies to Johnson, but I don't want to see anything from him ever again in Star Wars after what he did to Luke Skywalker. You don't have to focus on legacy characters. You can minimize them. But being disrespectful to me was his problem. There's movies coming out that excite people more. Maybe just because of the star, like Ryan Gosling cast in Sean Levy's movie Star Wars Starfighter. There are reports that Gosling met with Hayden Christensen ahead of his appearance at Celebration. Neither Hayden nor Pedro Pascal offered him any real advice, and honestly, with an actor like Gosling, you probably don't need that from Hayden Christensen and Pedro Pascal. The details I gathered from various internet sources list Jonathan Tropper as the writer. Now, looking at his resume, he's got C, The Adam Project, This Is Where I Leave You, and he was a writer and creator on Banshee, but also the newer Your Friends and Neighbors show on Apple TV Plus, which starred John Hamm and Amanda Peet, and just released its final episode of Season 1. Episode 9 came out on Thursday night, May 29th. Tropper's script is due soon because the film is due in 2027, so it's going to shoot next year. It's supposed to be set 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. Now, I don't imagine Banshee, The Adam Project, C, or Your Friends and Neighbors are going to have thematic elements in similar with this new movie, but I don't know. I liked Your Friends and Neighbors a lot. I watched the entire series of C. I watched The Adam Project. I can't remember if I've seen This Is Where I Leave You or not. Have not seen Banshee. His work is all right. It all depends on how you treat the characters. I wonder if they would include an end credits scene. Is Rey going to be training Finn since that new Jedi Order movie is still in planning? Who are the enemies, though? You can't have New First Order. You can't do that again. The Empire cannot come back again.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
And again, it's not even the next project down the line. That's Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next May. But will a scene there set something up for the future? We'll have to wait and see.
I've got a bad feeling about it.
Quiet.
What?
Star Wars gamers, there is a little news for you this month. Days of Wonder, maker of Ticket to Ride, they are making a new board game called Battle of Hoth. It follows the Command and Colors system of gameplay. It's got a hex tile map, rolling dice with symbols to inflict or take damage and finish objectives. It's supposed to release this summer. Features 2 to 4 player gameplay for ages 8 and up. In video games, layoffs have hit the Respawn Entertainment Studio. They're working on the Star Wars Jedi Final installment. They're also part of the team working on Zero Company, a game announced at Celebration. Most, if not all, the May 4th sales have completed. May the 4th comes out, and for a few weeks, they have great discounts on past Star Wars games. There are still some stragglers out there, but all you have to do to find that is search for Star Wars game sales, and you'll find that on the internet. There are too few now to list, and it's too hard to go and find for a specific game that you want. I'm not going to list all of the games, but if you want to find that information, do it quick, because by next week, the first week of June, May the 4th is a week old or a month old. You're probably not going to find many sales for Star Wars games then. There was the announcement that Bungie is doing a crossover with Star Wars for Destiny 2 called Renegades. That releases Christmas time this year, December 2025. There's an Outlaws. The last piece of downloadable content for the game is available. It's got Hondo Anaka joining the game. It's called A Pirate's Fortune. And Star Wars The Old Republic has been going on for a decade now. And having transitioned to Broadsword Online's development team, it's awaiting a new update, 7.7. It's supposed to have dropped in late May, possibly coming in early June.
Very well.
Actually, when I check, it says 7.7 is now available as of May 28th. So, great. New content for the game. It'll be galactic threads, feature some new gameplay tweaks. But if you're interested, you need to check developer notes. There are things like new skin colors for some alien races, party lighting effects, new housing bundles, changes to combat for several classes, 2 new armors inspired by Andor, new world map and quick travel options, filters to maps, encounter area highlights that were first introduced in 7.6. There's a new PvP season that is now live. Augment mission log updates. Wait a minute. Didn't I say I was going to make you search for that? Anyway, those are some of the updates that came with 7.7. Then there's Epic's new Star Wars content. Epic is the maker of Fortnite. This began in early May, and as it has progressed, added was an AI Darth Vader that could join players' teams in Battle Royale.
Your insolence is growing tiresome. I suggest you choose your next words with greater care. Some paths lead to regret.
Now, being an avid player of the game, I can tell you he's a pain. But I did see some of the players were experiencing trouble. They were baiting the AI into cursing at them. One report from a friend said he saw a video where players brought Vader into the team and then chastised him for killing Padme, and so he left the team. SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, filed charges citing unfair labor practices over the AI use of James Earl Jones' voice. But there's a problem. His family gave the game its blessing. So it sounds like any negotiating went directly between the estate and Epic. And now the union's arguing, hey, where's our piece? The Epic added Darth Jar Jar, several other skins, a new Lego Odyssey bundle. There's a new gameplay mode that's temporary called Jedi Survival or something like that, Fast Survival. If these announcements aren't interesting you, though, I'm not sure I can convince you to play the game, and I don't necessarily want to do that either. The most recent update to the Battle Royale portion of the game allows players to man the guns of a Star Destroyer with immunity, and I can tell you from personal experience, the guns are strong enough to kill you in bunkers and caves. There are several more skins now available for purchase with V-Bucks. But listen, I have to recommend against it. And I play the game. It's just a money sink. There's no love for Star Wars source material here. Now, it is fun. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a giant Star Wars fan. But I'm just not pleased with the changes to gameplay. And it's not Star Wars. There's no role-playing going on in the Battle Royale portion of the game. Epic also added Darth Jar Jar as a purchasable goal. A very lofty goal that you have to reach, though. And then now there's also Sith Rey, the dark version of Rey from Rise of Skywalker, where she faces herself as if she had joined the Sith. But it seems as if all the Star Wars content is going to disappear soon. June 7th at 2 p.m., there is a global Death Star sabotage event that should wrap up all of the Star Wars elements in the game. One more Star Wars gaming note. It's in the form of Meta Quest 3 and 3S news. Star Wars Beyond Victory, a mixed reality playset, is a new VR game coming, and it's the third ILM game. The others were Vader Immortal and Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Now, I don't know when this game is going to be coming out, but it was previewed at Celebration. It's been 4 years since the last update to the Tales game. It seems there are adventure, arcade, and playset modes of this new game that has been announced. The adventure portions where the story comes from, involving you as a pod racer called Volobalas, and I think you meet Sebulba. There's apparently a comic that expands or reveals some of the character's backstory, but I never recommend comic books, especially when they're tied to games or promotional. It's just promo content. I'm not sure how much there's going to be available for the MetaQuest rig. The story seems light from the reports that I read. It focused on the arcade and playset modes, which means you're getting a very short adventure to set up these other play modes. And when I first heard about this, I was like, pod racing in VR? Like, are you going to be sitting in the cockpit and driving that? That sounds pretty cool. But the pod racing is not first person. It's top down. So, no, you're not going to feel like you're Anakin at the Boonta Eve race. It's going to feel more like you're looking at a holomap in your living room. Now, this is still in development, but the demo was shown at Celebration. And that makes it seem to me like it's too far into production to make any significant changes, especially if they're going to try to make it first-person pod racing, which they have not said they're going to do.
Darth Vader leads an evil empire towards universal domination. Join a brave rebellion with Luke Skywalker.
Collectors, I did some digging for you this month. For May the 4th, new Legacy lightsabers were released. They are Master and Apprentice, Baylan Skoll, and Shin Hati, red-orange bladed, and they're limited to 4,000 produced units. There's also a Jedi Master Soul lightsaber, but unless you're a huge Acolyte fan, I'm not sure you're going to want to buy that for $160. There's also a Mara Jade Legacy lightsaber box floating around out there. I guess it's a reproduction, and it's limited to 3,500 copies, but that's now out of stock online already. And for a limited time, there's still this reclaimed and reforged Savi's Workshop piece collection that you can build your own lightsaber out of it. These are the pieces that have fallen into the hands of smugglers and bounty hunters. They look a little different, and it is nice to actually get something new to that workshop. But who are you building your lightsaber for from this? Maybe a skeleton crew lightsaber? I don't know. There's also a Clone Wars lightsaber hilt set on Hasbro Pulse's website, unsigned, for $550. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is, but it features the replica hilts of Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars. It's presented in a nice wooden box. It features art depicting the 3 Jedi with their names in Aurebesh, and there is a limited production of 3,000, but when I checked the website on the 29th, it was still available. It's a Disney store exclusive. There are a number of interesting items on sale on the Disney website. I think I said it was Hasbro Pulse. No, it's actually, well, I'll tell you. It's disneystore.com/collectibles/and-relics. disneystore.com/collectibles/lightsabers-and-relics. There are several updates to the Hasbro Pulse website. See, I was getting ahead of myself. I didn't see mentioned anything about these updates, so I'm going to pass them along. Now, usually you can find news aggregating websites and it'll tell you about the new updates, but I'm not sure. Some of these I have already mentioned. Like, there are still available for pre-order Vintage and Black Series versions of Night Sister Merrin from the Jedi Fallen Order series of games. That's not new. I mentioned her figurine in previous months, but there's also Black Series Chewbacca, Han Solo. Those are still available on the Hasbro Pulse website. And then there are pre-orders and exclusive. And let me first mention the ones that are already sold out. Now, I know, it's like, why are you going to tell us about the ones that are already sold out? But even before I noticed them, they're already in the aftermarket. There's a Black Series Sand Trooper. There is a Black Series Clone Lieutenant Galle, Galle. The product features says this clone lieutenant is from A New Hope. I don't remember a clone being in The New Hope. A clone trooper in New Hope? Maybe I'm just not thinking correctly. It's sold out, though. So if you want that character, you're going to have to look on the aftermarket websites like eBay. It also sold out. A vintage collection Stormtroopers of the Empire 3-pack. That looked pretty cool. It had a Snow Trooper on it. A Cantina Adventure 4-pack that featured very hard to get legacy characters like Walrus Man, Greedo, Hammerhead, and Snaggletooth, all from A New Hope. So that era of collectible figurines, some of those in the original boxes are tremendously expensive. So they put out a vintage collection, not the originals, obviously, not as expensive, obviously, but it's also sold out. So if you want those characters and you have a gap there and you wanted them, you're going to have to look aftermarket.
There's no other way.
The vintage collection Ben Kenobi from A New Hope, vintage Stormtrooper, Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Death Trooper electronic helmet for $99. All of those sold out. Okay, now what can you buy? There is a Star Wars Visions Black Series, new and exclusive to the Hasbro Pulse website, the Ronin and R5D56 set. It's only $70. I say only. I think this was a Celebration exclusive item. I'm not 100% sure about that. It's a grayscale colored set. It's very, if you're into anime, this is probably a really interesting piece for you. Only the lightsaber is red colored. Everything else is in grayscale. It looks pretty cool. There is a set of Black Series Edition Shore Trooper and Death Trooper still available. $40 for both figures. Usually the pieces run for $25 a piece, so that's something of a small deal. It's like getting $10 off, right? Finally, there is a Black Series Force FX Elite Ezra Bridger lightsaber in the form that he built on Huyang's spacecraft workshop in the Ahsoka series. This is the live-action build version. And let me read from the product description. This collectible Black Series Force FX lightsaber is detailed to look like the Ezra Bridger lightsaber from the Star Wars Ahsoka live-action series on Disney+, including an emitter that resembles that of fallen Jedi Master Kanan Jarrus' saber. It's $250 in pre-order now, ships around September 1st, 2025, and yes, at the time of the recording of this podcast, it is still available to purchase.
Just one more thing.
This is the part of the podcast where I talk about Star Wars news from the Disney parks, and the Death Star popcorn bucket did come to Florida's theme parks. I have one. It's really cool. Thank you to my sister for picking it up for me. I did pay for this item, so I paid her and she picked it up for me. I should have gotten two. You know, I should have gotten one, kept one, and then gave one away or sold one. I've got one now, though, and I'm not even displaying it. Let me go get it and press the button, and I'll actually try to shoot an Instagram video as well. Okay, here we go. I'm going to press the button. You can't see anything right now. It's lit up. So let me press the button one more time. It's lighting up. Pretty cool. So it lights up and makes the sound of the Death Star Death Ray powering up. It's really interesting, and I'm just really glad I got it. You can still find these on eBay. The price range is $56 to $95 at the time of recording, but they retailed at the park for just $35. Man, should have gotten two of these. They're so cool.
I think we can let him off with the warning this time.
Now, if you think I've missed something or you disagree with me, some of my comments made you angry, send email. thisisthewaypodcast@gmail.com. How else can you interact with This Is The Way Podcast? X, Facebook, Instagram, all at This Is The Way Pod. And, you know, I understand. Sometimes I say things, even in the news, that are a little controversial. It's just the way I feel. And I'm glad that you're joining me for This Is The Way Podcast's May 2025 news update episode. I know I still have episodes left of Andor to cover. I still have 2 episodes to recap and discuss. But May has been a really stress-filled month for me. Now, if you're the praying type, I will ask you, please pray for us. Absolutely for my father, who is still with us, thankfully, still recovering in order to have a valve replacement surgery. Please also pray for my brother. He was injured in a strange accident, and his insurance is making his recovery difficult. It may actually require legal action. He's hurt, can't work at his best. So my dad, my brother, our family has a car that is not working, and a new part is not available until, get this, January of 2026. Yikes. I mean, we can't even get a salvage part that will be guaranteed to last that long. There's school ending. Today is the last day of school as I record this for my 2 daughters. We've got home repairs, life changes, just a lot's going on. So please add all of us to your prayers. In return, if you've got one, maybe it's not a comment about our show, but let me know. Email us and let us know so I can pray for you. Thank you again for being part of This Is The Way Podcast's audience. I'm your host, Steve Lascalzo, and may the Force be with you always.